and we need to find a way to exist in a world without letting it take us down.
Okay, I can't do this all myself. I'm part of a community and I need help from it.
Welcome to Thrivist, where we share real stories, psychology, practical wisdom, and hope. We're here to inspire you with stories of overcoming and the lessons people learn along the way. We believe in humanity, and we know that we can all build resilience and thrive. Or at least low-key thrive at best.
Welcome to Thrivist Podcast. Emily, it's good to see you. And we just got done with a holiday weekend, so I felt a little more rested coming into work this week. So Memorial Day weekend, what was that like for you?
Oh, it was so nice. We've been having so much rain here in the Midwest, right? Like tons. And it was a beautiful day. It was absolutely beautiful. And so we have a neighborhood community pool and it opened. And so great to relax, get some sun, see some neighbors there. And then I also was kind of prepping for this next guest, which was really all about holistic wellness, because even though it was a free day, I actually want to do this stuff on a free day. So that's when you know you're doing the right thing with your job, when you want to be doing this in your free time, right?
Sounds right.
How
Yeah.
about you? How was your weekend? Were you guys traveling, or how was your weekend?
We enjoyed a wedding this weekend and, just a really relaxing Memorial Day. So we chilled out. It was finally nice to have some sunshine. But you were telling me you were reading a book while you were at the pool. And I think that you were talking about, holistic wellness. And it's so interesting you say that because I also have been reading a book about the mind-body connection. The book I'm currently in right now is When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate. So fascinated with the mind-body connection. I think as therapists and life coaches, what we see from our point of view, which is the mental health, emotional, relational point of view, is that people who have had long-term chronic stress, particularly as children, as they were growing up, um, tend to have a lot of health issues later in life. And we know about the adverse childhood experiences survey that has been done, and there are so now there's research around the connection between adverse childhood experiences and our physical well-being later in life. We have been they've been tracking people who were given the ACE survey and now seeing how they have a higher incidence of a lot of medical issues. So I'm fascinated with holistic wellness, as you know. And so I was so grateful that you invited a guest to talk about holistic wellness. Do you want to say just a little bit
Yes.
about her, and then we can kind of reflect on what we talked about with her?
Yes. Dr. Jess Hoying has been practicing in traditional medicine, and then she, eh, through her own story of really her own health crisis that she shares with us, she began learning more about functional medicine and really getting to the root of what was going on in her own body. And so from that, really, she says she really got the full textbook of how to provide medical care in today's day and age, and how to look at how the body does keep score and how trauma will get stuck in the body. And so it was certainly just really compelling what she was saying. And I think the longer you live and the more you are in touch with your body, the more you know the truth of listening to your body.
I definitely agree with that. In midlife, went through my own kind of health journey of trying to understand why I was having certain symptoms and certain things going on. And so I had my own deep dive into functional medicine, went to many doctors, wasn't getting answers, wasn't getting relief. And it wasn't until I kind of went through this other approach that I started to really feel like myself again. And so I have my own story with that too. So I'm really excited for our listeners to get to hear from Dr. Jess, as you call her, who is also a friend, tell a little bit about her story and what motivates her to do what she does. And also, she refers to our practice. And I really appreciate a physician who is saying, I can do the physician piece, the medicine piece, but I need to collaborate with other practitioners out there who can do the mental, emotional piece. So we're really grateful for her. Who do you think would be interested in this podcast?
Wow. Well, definitely those that are experiencing some physical symptoms in their body that they can't seem to get relief from. And they're pretty curious and pretty fed up with how to get relief, because she's really expanding the traditional model of thinking about pain in the body and the way that our bodies store um, pain and energy and loss. I also think those that are really interested in kind of unlearning some perfectionism. She talks pretty openly about, hey, I used to be an A+ student all through medical school, Emily. And now, wow, if you went to my front lawn, I'm pretty happy with the B+. Although I have been to her front lawn, I would say it's higher than a B+. But anyways, she's really breathing easier and has found a way to increase her own quality of life as she determined it. So anybody that really wants to find a more relaxed way to live.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I would say that would include any physician out there. We work with physicians here. I mean, I have clients who are physicians, and when you hear about the grind to get to where they finally have a flourishing practice and they're working somewhere, what they need to do to go through medical school, residency, and build the life that they want for themselves. It is a grind. And many of them struggle on many levels, emotional, physical, relationships are really under a lot of strain during med school and residency. And so I think if you're a physician out there, he might feel really validated. But I think when Dr. Jess says, I'm no longer an A+ person, I'm happy with a B+, I don't think she's meaning I don't want excellence and I don't want excellence for my patients. I think what she's meaning is that drive that I used to get through med school and to become an excellent physician cost me something. And
Mm.
now I know how to pursue excellence without being high strung and perfectionistic, because now I have perspective. So I think if you're a physician out there, a therapist out there, anyone in the helping profession, learning how to live a healthy whole life while you're providing excellent care for others, I think you'll really be interested in listening to this as well.
Agree. So well said. So, well, let's enjoy seeing her really focus on the two pillars of thriving, of holistic health and wellness, and practicing contentment and gratitude. And there's more there, but she certainly touches on those two. And with that, we will go to our conversation with Dr. Jess.
Well, I'm going to read your bio. And so that our listeners know a little bit about you, and then we'll start in. So Jessica is the founder of Focus Health and Wellness. She is a family physician and understands the value of exceeding patients' needs when they require medical attention. That's why she fosters a patient and family-centered atmosphere backed by award-winning care. Throughout her career, Dr. Hoying has been both a physician and a patient, which gives her a unique perspective of the healing process. She has seen all aspects of healthcare. Her intention is to bring medicine back to its true intention of focusing on the patient. Combining traditional and holistic practices to achieve the best outcome for each individual, she will help find the root cause of a patient's challenge and improve their overall well-being, health, and longevity. Dr. Hoying received her medical degree from the Wright State University, Boonshoft, School of Medicine in 2010 and completed her residency in family medicine at the Medical University of South Carolina Trident Medical Center program in 2013. She also holds a Master's of Science in Anatomy from Wright State University and a Bachelor's in Science in Biology from The Ohio State University. In her professional experience, Dr. Hoying has worked at many hospital facilities as a hospital medicine physician and administrator, including Medical University of South Carolina, Trident Medical Center, and the Mercy Health System. She also worked at outpatient primary care clinics at Medical University of South Carolina, Trident Medical Center, and Mason, Ohio. She has experience with patients with special needs and has over a decade of experience with this population at Coastal Center, many group homes in South Carolina, and St. Joseph's Home in Cincinnati, Ohio. In addition, she is boarded in both family medicine and addiction medicine and has expertise in treating patients with multiple different diagnoses and substance use disorders of all types. Dr. Hoying is also trained with the Institute of Functional Medicine. She is compassionate and caring to all. Wow, what a bio and what a lot of experience. And I'm so excited that Emily invited you to be on this podcast and to get to know you a little better. So thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you, Dr. Jess. It's fun because we actually met as two moms sitting on the bleachers, raising our baller sons together and cheering them on and supporting each other in the journey and becoming friends there. And then over time, I got to hear about your dream of founding Focus and your heart in healing. And now today, hear wonderful stories of healing that's coming out of your practice. So it's great to have you with us and hear more about your work. So tell us a little about yourself, Dr. Jess.
Yeah, so you kind of talked about my bio, but I've been around healthcare for a very, very long time. My mom was in healthcare and then kind of said I wanted to do it. And she actually told me, don't do it. It's crazy. Why would you do this? But she said, if you want to do it, then you need to start out seeing if you really like it. So she actually started me out as a nursing assistant at a very young age. So 18, I was working up at Dayton Children's, feeding babies, moving beds, taking people for x-rays, all of that. And then it just kind of grew from there. I think that's always been built in me. I'm definitely a caregiver by nature.
Yes.
And love people by nature, and I want to help people. And so it was a good fit. And then it's just really kind of expanded. And Emily's been lucky enough, I think, to walk with me through that journey of, hey, I want to do this, and kind of helped along the way. She showed up to a couple of the open houses and things, and we've been collaborating, and here we are. We're finally to what I wanted, created what I wanted to.
Wow. So awesome. Well, it's really been a joy. And you are at a place where you're mixing traditional medicine and functional medicine. So tell us, what is functional medicine? And I've always been curious, is it used the same as integrative medicine? Are they basically one and the same?
Similar. I think there's aspects that are similar, but basically my practice here at Focus is blended of, I was trained traditional medical doctor, right? So I went to medical school, I went to traditional residency, I learned all the things you do, a lot of academic exercise and how you treat and approach patients. And then got sick myself and had to go through traditional medicine to get better, but was missing pieces of that, and get into that in a little bit, but ended up having to learn functional medicine. And that is really root cause medicine of like, okay, I have, it could be like some GI issues. I have abdominal pain. Well, what is that abdominal pain? What's the cause of the abdominal pain? And this goes to just, hey, instead of band-aiding and taking some meds to make the symptoms go away, let's fix it. So it's like, there's a sink turned on and it's overflowing and we're just scooping out buckets of water. Functional medicine is going and just turning the sink off Okay, so that we don't even have any more water coming, and then you can kind of fix it from that regard. Integrative medicine is where it kind of integrates into a lot of, treatment modalities. And so you can do like a cancer treatment with an integrative approach to that.
Okay.
So
So
there's crosses between it. It's very similar-ish, I would say. I think functional gets a lot more into root cause, sometimes
yeah.
more than integrative, but it's all kind of the same spectrum.
Yeah. And why wouldn't we historically, why wouldn't all physicians be trained more to look at the root? Just curious. I'm sorry to put you on the spot
Question.
and speak for all
No, no.
physicians. I'm not trying to do that, Dr. Jess, but
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I think, medical school is what medical school is, and you have a lot of information and you shove it into 4 years, and it's very, here's this, here's how you diagnose this, here's you treat it. It's very medicine based. It's usually you're giving meds or doing surgery, and that's just that training. But over the years, medicine has turned very much businessy. And so once business kind of got into medicine, it's now how many RVUs do you have and how many patients are you seeing? And I need you to see 22.3 patients per day in order to meet this metric. And then, what are your average patients' A1Cs? And so while I think it's nice to have some sort of standard or drive towards some excellence there, uh, we definitely take away from, just doctor-patient relationships. And people are people. They take how long they take to fix. I can't really do it in 15 minutes. And that's kind of what led me to do the practice that I do. So I had to take traditional medicine with what I know. And I would say I felt like I was practicing with like half of a book, right? And then when I got sick, I had to learn functional medicine. And then I feel like I got the other half of the book. And so by taking both of those halves and putting it together, and then taking the time to give somebody a half-hour appointment or an hour appointment or whatever it may be to sit and listen to them, that has just helped tremendously make patients make huge strides to getting better instead of kind of doing this businessy, very stoic, old kind of model. People just, it's not a factory. It's hard to operate that way. So
yeah,
Mhm.
great. Well, what would you say today motivates you, Dr. Jess, to do what you're doing?
Well, I think a lot of it is, like I said, I'm really born a caregiver. That's where I thrive. That's what I do well. Um, Being sick myself, I had to walk that journey, and that was really tough. And it really inspires you to hear people in a different way. So now when I get patients, it's a much more like, oh no, we can do this. This is a we thing. Like I've been there. I've got you. We're going to get to where we need to go. Instead of like, oh, okay, here's this, you go off and I don't think about you again. So I think the motivation comes from, wanting to get people feeling better, but also walking with them and everything that comes with that. And then like celebrating when we get there. It's just, it's fun. I love it. It's great.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
I've heard this before where there are physicians who are practicing, traditional medicine, and then something happens to them. Is that, and then they start pursuing functional medicine because they're seeing that they needed that in order to heal themselves. Um, I'm just reading and seeing that a lot. Do you think that that's common? Is it just what my feed is giving me?
I would say that's probably the most common reason people get into functional medicine. Um, Most physicians I know had something that happened to them and then they had to figure out a different way of getting better. So, I got really sick about 37. I had no idea I had anything wrong with me. I was off. We were in Costa Rica. I was at a fishing trip with my brother who just graduated med school, family trip, and then had a bunch of cardiac events and issues that happened on that trip. Very scary, I think mostly for those with me because I was kind of in and out of it. But
And before that, Dr. Jess, did you have a pretty healthy, clean bill as a 37-year-old woman? I mean, were
oh
you
yeah, Yeah.
Okay.
Had
So
4
that came,
kids, healthy, going around. I honestly did not know what sick truly meant. I mean, here I am a doctor and I treating sick people, but I did not understand sick to the degree that I now understand sick.
yes.
And so that was huge. So I had to like get through all of that. So, when you're a doctor, you get the best. Like we do take care of our own. So other doctors will make room on their schedule. It doesn't matter where it is, just to help you. And so I was seeing the best of the best, I was going to the best of the best. Labs look good. I ended up having to get an ICD and all sorts of things and heart surgery and the whole 9 yards. And you
At
get done with all
37 years
at
old, Dr. Jess,
37.
at 37, a
Yeah.
heart surgery. And before that, you were totally healthy.
Totally fine.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, really, like you go from healthy to sick, flat, sick, couldn't get up. But they do the stuff. So the doctors are doing the things and they're like, okay, labs are good. You're good. We did the surgery. Off you go. And I went home. I couldn't get up. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stand for more than 30 seconds. And so I'm like, well, this isn't right. Like something is not right. So you go back and they do the things. They're like, nope, still labs are good. Everything's good. You're good. I have no idea what's going on. So, maybe you just need rest. Maybe you're anxious, like, all the typical things that you get. And I feel like as a female, definitely kind of get thrown that, oh, well, maybe you're too stressed out.
Hormones.
Hormone, whatever it is, right? You're anxious. You just need to
Yeah.
take a break. And I'm thinking, no, I'm pretty even keeled. I've always been even keeled. This is not me. Yes, it was a stressful event, but I'm pretty sick here. I couldn't eat. It was bad. So 4 kids staring at me. I'm like, I've got to get better. I don't have time for this. I've got to heal. And it took a little bit of internal struggle of like, I'm doing all the traditional things I know too, right? Not getting anywhere. I'm in this like complete circle of feeling really crummy, very frustrated, a little scared because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I'm never going to get back to what I was? I don't really understand what's going on. And started reading about functional medicine, ended up seeing a couple functional medicine doctors, went in thinking, I don't know what this is. It's a little woo-woo for me, but I'm so sick, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. And started getting a little better and started looking at root causes of things and started fixing my gut and started de-stressing and was doing acupuncture and learning a lot of different modalities that I had never learned before. But little by little, I could like put one foot in front of the other. And so it kind of took off from there. I thought, there is really something to this. I'm really at a disadvantage that I don't know this. And I've been seeing all these patients up until now, and I did not give them my best self. So it was, yes, to fix me, but also an obligation. If I'm going to do this, I got to do it the right way. So I spent the next couple years studying functional medicine, both, like I said, to help me and then to get better. But that's really how most people start out learning it, is out of necessity to get themselves better.
Their human experience, their own humanity.
Yep. Truly.
Yeah. That's
Thank you for
unreal.
sharing that, because it seems like a consistent theme. And I would say the same is true with therapists. We usually have a story as to something that happened or, something we've overcome that, it motivates us to help others in the same way. So I can see that you used that challenge, and now that motivates you to do your work, which we're so appreciative of.
What else would you say, as you overcame that health setback, Dr. Jess, what else would you say changed for you? How did your perspective change? How did you change?
Oh, I would say perspective got very clear very quickly. So, when that kind of happens, you really need to focus on like what's important and what's not important. And so, I mean, I've told Emily before, like, hey, I used to be an A+ OCD and kind of person. And I think there's purpose in that, because you don't get through medical school. You don't get through all of those things kind of without that.
Right.
But, I really turned into what I say is a good B plus. So, and I'm totally fine with a good B plus, but certain things are not as important as they used to be. Definitely time and attention to family and being there is much more important than, making sure everything has an appearance to it, everything looks good. If you roll up to my house today, I'll tell you there's going to be a couple weeds in the yard. You're going to walk in and there's going to be kid stuff places. And okay, whereas before, I'd be like, okay, I can't go to bed until this is done and this is done. And you really just kind of grind through. And that's just so much different than it used to be. So um, it's a good change, I think.
Yes.
So if you look at my report cards, they're all A pluses. But like I said, if you give me a report card now, I'm B plus, and I would say I'm probably a better person.
Yeah. And it's what you're explaining to me is a quality of life difference too, right? And in every different season of life, we're kind of trying to assess many times what's working, what is the quality of life we want. And so that really produced for you a different quality to your days, put more life in your years, it sounds like. And it's permission giving to hear you say that. So thank you for being so authentic to say that. Yeah, that's great. You also wrote down for us that you learned that our bodies are amazing and they heal themselves if we let them. And also, we are letting the world make us sick. And we need to find a way to exist in a world without letting it take us down.
That's true. When you have to reevaluate things, like I couldn't work for 6 months, I couldn't do it.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, now what am I going to, I had to ask for help. I had to delegate. I had to do all these things that I didn't used to do. And that was a big eye-opening experience for me of like, okay, I can't do this all myself. I'm part of a community and this community I need help from it. And then later I'm going to pay it back. But the world is too busy. Everything's too busy. Again, I think I've told Emily before, like, hey, just this need of social media, like everything's got to be perfect and you got to do this and you got to do that. And what's good enough and what's, where are you, and the anxiety level and then the mental health that I see just from striving for keeping up with society makes you sick. The food makes you sick. The lack of sleep makes you sick. The stress level, the never stopping makes you sick. And that's part of what we do here. And again, we're focusing on the whole purpose and the root cause. And hey, what's important in your life? Where do you need to spend time? What do we need to focus on? And then what do we need to let go? So it's a big part of our practice.
Yeah. It's so freeing to hear you say that. It seems like a good time for me to have a sip of Diet Coke. I'm sure this is part of your doctor's orders for all your patients, Jess, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I tried to get my husband to stop drinking Diet Coke for the past 20 years and I've been unsuccessful, Emily. So
okay, AudrieAna's on the water. Of course she is. She's a certified health coach as well. It's a therapist and many other. I'm still doing my daily Diet Coke with your John. So, I don't know. You got to be trending in the right direction. So, I'm staying hydrated, Dr. Jess, but
that is
one
true,
step at a time.
Thank you. One
Yes.
step at a time. You also told us, Dr. Jess, about being balance trained in your training. And I found that so interesting. And I was not familiar. I looked into it after we talked, and it does seem like it's a bit off the arm of psychiatry. But I want to talk about it for a minute, because what you're saying is that it really helped you to learn to live in harmony, you said, with all the chaos around you. Also knowing then when to place yourself into a situation for success for you or for your dependent children or for your family, and how to be able to detach more from the emotions of people around you. So can you say more about it?
Yeah. Balance training is great. So for those people who know what it is, it's probably one of the best things I've ever done. But for those people who don't know what it is, honestly, it's a way of practicing relationships with people, whether it be patients or just socially, whatever it may be. So every day or every Thursday in residency, we would meet my 10 people in my residency class met with two physicians. And one of them, his name was Dr. Clive Brock. He was from South Africa, and he was upper 70s, maybe 80. He was an older gentleman. And he was literally magic. I don't understand how this guy knew the things that he knew. Just like a just expertly trained physician, could walk into a room, tell you everything. He was just, I don't know, had this special quality about him. And I was really blessed to do balance training with him. But what you do is you would pick a difficult patient, not a medically difficult patient, not like, oh my gosh, they have all these medical things. What do we do next? This is an emotionally difficult medical patient. Like, hey, this person's on my schedule, and every time I see him, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a tough day for me. Or like, there's something there that in my own personal emotion, it makes me feel a certain way. And, we all have them. We all have those kind of patients. And we would go through it. And so I would take, let's say, patient X, and I would bring them to the balance table, and I would describe this person in detail, what they look like, what they smelled like, their clothes, their emotion, the volume of their voice. I mean, we're talking painstaking detail. And then how I felt about it. And then I would step back, and then the 9 other people would come in, and I couldn't talk anymore. And they would pick apart like, well, maybe this person's like this because of this, or maybe this person's life was this way, or maybe they had this experience, or did they have this education level? And they would just go, 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 go. I said they could be right, they could be wrong. It didn't matter. And then you would come back in for the last 5 minutes, and you could add detail or whatever it may be. But Dr. Brock or Dr. Friede or whoever the other person was who was the supervisor would then at the end kind of take apart like, okay, let's talk about when you're in this room, what emotions are you having and how do you detach from that? How do you not get on that person's stage, right? If this person has a dramatic play that they're playing out, you need to stay in the seats, right? You shouldn't be up there as one of the performers. If you're in the seats, what can you do from the seats? And that would be like, don't be a savior. Don't go and offer help that you can't give. Don't take on more than you can do. Help the person, but they also need to be able to like help themselves. And how can you facilitate that? And then also understanding where they came from, where they're going. And famous line he'd always say, if he would say like, if you can't stand being in the room with them for 5 minutes, how do you think they stand being with themselves all day? And it's just kind of learning that. So before I see every patient still to this day, I will take 30-second check in my head, who this is, what my objectives are, what I'm going in, what kind of presence I need to give. So sometimes be like, ooh, I think they'd be better with a male doctor. And I remember Dr. Brock always being like, no, you need to be whatever that is for that patient. So if they need a male doctor for whatever reason in your head, then be the male doctor, right? So in your head, you have to check and say, this patient needs this for me. This is what I'm going to be for them today. It was fantastic training. Best thing I've ever done, honestly, in residency, more so than the medical aspect, but that's what balance training is.
That is so fascinating, isn't it, Emily? I just want to comment on that if that's okay.
Please.
Because I think that, it's so similar to training that we had in, our master's level training, doctoral programs also, to be able to brainstorm about ways to have compassion and understanding for someone, that there's a story behind every person that we don't know yet. There are lots of these, reasons, and that builds some empathy. But then I love how you use the metaphor of the stage. That really resonated with me, because in order to be helpful, you need to remember that this is not your life you're living. You're not a part of this person's life other than that moment that you're with them, helping them, that it's their life they're living. And if you get too intertwined in that and too invested in the outcome, it can be detrimental, not only to the patient or client, but to ourselves. We end up carrying so much So I really like the way you said this is how this has helped me in just my regular relationships, not even patient doctor relationships. I can see how that would be so helpful. So thank you. I've never heard of that training.
Yeah, it was great. And I mean, I use it every day for certain things, but I do addiction medicine. And that is a tough area of medicine, honestly, if
Hmm.
because there's so many emotional factors to it,
Right.
difficult childhoods and whatever it may be, and relationships, and just sometimes the way people live. And you can't want it more than they can want it. And
Right.
so, again, not overextending, because I also, at the end of the day, this is my job. And while I root for people and I want them to get well, I have to go home and still have enough energy, right, to give to my family and my kids and everybody else. And so I've
Right.
got to have a way of doing good work, but not carrying that with me all the time. And I think females in general, especially if you're empathetic, you take it on. And so I think balance training has made me at least sustainable, that I'm like, oh no, here you go. This is going back to you. You take that home, but let me know how you do, because I actually care about the outcome.
Mm.
Mm,
That's so
So
well
good.
said.
mhm.
Yeah. I think, we will definitely put the balance training link in our show notes, Dr. Jess, for all the empaths out there and those that are working in helping professions and those that just carry around a big empathetic heart in a day, to know how we can quiet the noise and what is our part and what really isn't. So thank you for enlightening us with that.
So, Dr. Jess, you say the trauma is stored in the body, and we know that the body does keep the score. Bessel van der Kolk wrote a wonderful book, and there are other psychiatrists, physicians out there that have written books about that. Peter Levine, and others. And so, how do you see that show up in your office? Trauma being stored in the body. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'd say I see it all the time. So a lot of those chronically ill patients who will say, gosh, it's just been years since I've felt well. Or if I say, when's the last time you felt well or felt good? Sometimes they'll be like, oh, like maybe 3 to 5, maybe even 10 years ago. So that usually tells me something. But the biggest thing I'll see is often abdominal pain. Um, is one of the biggest triggers. And that we did even learn in traditional medicine, is people coming in with chronic abdominal pain usually have some sort of emotional component to it. And that's, appendicitis and those things put aside. But this
Mhm.
like ongoing, I have it all the time, because your brain is very connected to your gut.
Mhm.
So that is a very common place where people will come in with abdominal issues. The other place I'll see it is autonomic nervous system issues. So your autonomic nervous system is both parasympathetic and sympathetic, meaning fight or flight, but it's really just running independently of you thinking about what you're doing. It's you blinking, it's your heart beating, it's your gut digesting food, it's your lungs working. You don't have to sit and think, okay, beat again, okay, beat again. Like all
Mhm.
that just runs. That autonomic nervous system really takes in trauma. So the other thing that can happen with that is people who get these palpitations, or sometimes arrhythmia stuff, or tachycardia, or shortness of breath, tremors, just feeling uncomfortable in your own skin. People get a lot of rashes. All of those tend to be signals to me that something is dysregulated in that system. Sometimes people come in like, I have a really hard time standing up for a long time. I kind of melt into the floor with humidity. So there's a lot of symptoms that I'll get from people that I can kind of take and say, okay, something's going on here. That's a little bit more than just medical.
We're running out of time here, but I wanted to hear from you in your time of healing as a patient and then really embracing functional medicine more through your own journey. Um, what is a growth gift that you received that you would love to offer back up to our audience?
Gosh, I mean, there's a lot of them.
Yes.
um, like I said, I think really perspective was very important. I also have a son with autism, so perspective there too. So once he got
Yes.
diagnosed, it was like, okay, and we're going to have to figure out what he needs, but then also it just checks with everybody like, okay, now I just really want everyone to be happy and just changing that sort of course. So between you get like these life events, right, that just hit you, and then you have to react to that, whatever it may be.
Yes.
And so I've had a couple of those where it's like a little bit of a curveball and then you adjust. And so I think most of the life gifts or growing gifts that I get are just, perspective about where I am and what I'm doing, purpose. I think it's really important of like, why am I here? Um, what gifts do I have to give back? And then just having that sustainability to do it. And so I feel like through being sick and then having the medical knowledge that I have a lot of different areas of medicine and experience, and just bringing those all together really is what created the brainchild in my head of Focus Health and Wellness, right? And so I think that's been the biggest growth gift that I've gotten, is to put it all together and be here and do this. This is great. This is exactly what I wanted.
What is thriving to you? What is a thriving life and a resilient life in your eyes today?
Um, Usually, I know that I always feel like I'm thriving. So I appreciate you ladies telling me that I'm on a podcast that I'm thriving. But it's really, I think what I've learned is that if I can live in harmony with all the chaos going around, I'm doing something right. So then I know that, okay, that is thriving, because there's so much going on all the time. And I don't want to be distracted by that and not live now. And
Mm.
so I think this is where it pulls in some of the balance training. I think this is where it pulls in some of my perspective, and just what got me to where I am currently is, if I can have all of this stuff happening, but I'm still happy and complacent and not stressed in my own self, then I feel like I'm thriving.
What does focus as a practice? What do you all specialize in?
Anything and everything. So as much as I thought this is primary care, it's a little bit more than all of that. I would say my particular specialty at this point in time for patients is getting those patients who've been to 5, 6, 7, 8 doctors, walking through the door and saying, I have no idea what's wrong with me, but something's not right. That's probably what I get the most. So yes, we do traditional primary care. Yes, I can do all the primary care things. We'll stitch you up. We'll clean your ears. We'll do PAPs. We do pretty much everything shy of surgery here, just because we've all had that experience, which has been great. But I think the best thing we can do is get people well and optimized from all areas, including whole person, right? So I think there's a medical component to that, but then there's also, and this is why I'll refer patients to your guys' practice here, because if you don't fix some of the trauma, or you don't fix whatever it is that's still in you, you will plateau. So I can help, I can do things, we can change diet, we can do guts, we can do brain health, we can do all these things. And a lot of people will get better, but there's some people who plateau. And it's like, well, I've gotten this far, but I'm still not getting any better. And typically the body keeps score, right? It has memory, it knows if you still are holding on to things. So until you get that other piece fixed, that emotional piece fixed, you'll stay sick. And so I think that's an important part for patients to know, like, hey, I'm here, I'm going to help you do as best I can. But there's also people like you guys out there that, have to do that other half of the book, right? For someone to get completely better. We do IB therapy. We see a lot of cancer patients who just want to do something in addition to, like, hey, how can I optimize my cancer treatment? We do dementia. Dr. Joel Yvette just joined our practice. She'll be here on Thursdays and Fridays. She wants to do performance medicine. So she's in the Guinness Book of World Records, believe it or not, for
Wow.
running the most consecutive marathons daily in a row. So she's big on performance. We have Anne who does a lot of our weight loss, aesthetics. So we have really great people here. And we do, like I said, just about anything. So
So good to know that you're out there. One of our pillars of thriving, we have 10 that we said in the first couple of episodes, but one of them is embracing holistic wellness. And so, I mean, that's what you're doing. And to have physicians out there who acknowledge that you can't separate the mind and the body and the spirit, that these three things are so intertwined that to focus on just one of them is really missing the whole who we are. And so I just really so grateful that you acknowledge that and that you're educating patients in that way to take care of themselves holistically.
Yeah, no, it's there's an art and a science to getting people better. And that art piece, you have to have that finesse to know, one, how to even introduce that to a patient so they can see it. And then two, get them to the right person so that then they can foster that and fix that and grow that and do all the things they need to do.
In closing, I thought maybe you could give our listeners just maybe 3 of your top favorite tips in functional medicine right now. When you have a new patient that comes in your door, what are 3 of them that you end up saying quite frequently?
I would say number one always tends to be diet. Just so I tend to tell people to follow the God diet, and that is a very simple diet. If God made it, go ahead and eat it. So those are typically 1 or 2 word foods: chicken, eggs, cucumber, rice. So if it's pretty basic, then that's what we want to do. I think the biggest thing we can do is stay away from processed foods. We talk about the world's making you sick. The world really is making you sick. Decreasing sugar intake, staying away from inflammatory type foods. That would be number 1. So just whole food diet. Number 2, I would say I usually get people on a really good multivitamin and some vitamin D and magnesium. So if you ask me my standard, what do I give to people? That's usually it, because as much as they eat good food, the food now is very nutrient depleted. So you don't get as many vitamins and minerals from it that you used to. So there's a couple really great ones out there. Mitocore is a really good one, and then pure encapsulation is a really good one as well. And then good magnesium, vitamin D. And then the last thing, honestly, would be to decrease screen time and phone time as much as you can. As I'm doing a podcast, I'm saying that, so probably not ideal, but I think that is definitely, again, from an addiction standpoint, this is where it's nice that I have so many facets of medicine that I can pull in. It is a dopamine suck, and it increases irritability, makes you look for those processed foods, kind of decreases your social time with other human beings. And so decreasing screen time, especially for those kiddos who have growing brains, would be the third thing that I really would stress.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wow, those are great.
They really are. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jess. Anything else you'd like to add, and how can prospective new patients reach you?
Sure. Yeah, we are always taking patients. The best way to reach us is you can go onto our website. It's focushealthwell.com. That gives you kind of an overview of who's here, what's going on, what's it look like. You can always call the office. It's 513-972-8007. Or you can just email us, and we're at focushealthwell@gmail.com, and ask for information. We have 5 employees. You're always going to talk to a human being. We don't have any automation. I try not to. And we will tell you what we can do for you, get you on the books, or, just chat if you need a friend. So.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Sure,
we'll put all of those in the show notes so people can click directly. And maybe if you're out there just listening to this, the audio version, instead of watching this on a screen, maybe you get an A+ today because it's less screen time. Maybe you're walking the dogs, just listening to this podcast. You get the A+ today.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us at Thrivist, where talk transforms and builds resilience in an unpredictable world.